Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kobold Chats. My name is Kendo, whichever you prefer. I use any all pronouns. And with me today is the lovely and wonderful Celeste Conowitch, lead designer for Tales of the Valiant, and more specifically, the book we're all here to learn about, Player's Guide 2. Now,
Yes, I'm here. It's my fault. Ask me why.
ask you why. Yeah, hey, why did you go and make such a banger book?
Why?
Huh? What's up with that?
What? More options? Why would you want that?
So, everybody, this will be a live Q&A as we usually like doing here on Kobold Chats. So, come with your questions for specifically about Tales of the Valiant and Player's Guide 2.
Yes.
If you're coming here asking about a campaign builder, I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to
sorry.
wait.
We don't know. We focused.
Yeah, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to come back another time. Hold on, let me turn up your mic just a wee bit.
I've got one of those quiet podcasting mics. Sorry, everybody. I'm putting it close to my face, too.
Give me 1 second. I'm also gonna boost you on my end. Hopefully that will do it. Can you talk a little bit for us?
Hey, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good.
Yeah.
Good. All the people out there. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Let me know. Sounding better? Sounding better, chat?
You're kind of capping.
Hello, it's me.
yeah. No. Sorry. No. There's.
Yep.
It's capping out a little bit for me. Right under 20. There's a hard limiter happening somewhere, and I will defeat it.
Ooh. Somebody is saying yes. I sound a little better.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Perfect.
Hey, thank you, Eric.
Thank you all so much. So, yes, please keep all of your questions Player's Guide 2 related, because, hey, that's what we're here to talk about.
Oh, man,
And as always, I get to ask my questions first, because that is the privilege I get for being a kobold. Now, Celeste.
Yes.
Why'd you make such a banger book? There are so many new options we've got 3 new classes. We've got the Witch, the Theurge, and the Vanguard, the new
the big one.
The big one, right? We've got all of these new subclasses, which are helping fill out the rest of the classes, as well, giving the options that a lot of people have been waiting for. We've got new lineages, backgrounds, heritages, spells, spell options, and new base building rules. How do you feel now? How do you feel? That's my
Tired.
question. How do you feel?
No. Great. Because when we launched Player's Guide and obviously Monster Vault, when we were here at the beginning of Tales of the Valiant, there was so much we wanted to do and so much we wanted to accomplish, but we also had a lot of expectations we wanted to meet and to fill, including making sure it was just 2 books was everything you needed to start this game. And of course, what that meant was space in those books was king. It was limited, and there were just constant, heartbreaking decisions of what we had to cut because we couldn't fit it in those books. So we all knew right there from the beginning that Player's Guide 2 was going to be something we were doing. I would say probably 25% of the stuff maybe going in Player's Guide 2 was actually stuff that we wanted and tried desperately to fit in Player's Guide 1. But we ended up having to cut at the last minute. We're like, we'll save it for this book. So Player's Guide 2 is a joy because finally we're able to pick up all of those children that we weren't able to incorporate. And then now we can put them here. We can fulfill the promise, right? I think I said it in the Discord the other day. It was Player's Guide 1, we had to do a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was driven to cover SRD things. We didn't really have as much space to play. And Player's Guide 2 was where we got to play, where Kobold Press, we got to come in and do what we're great at, making new stuff that works with existing rules and frameworks. So it's been great. It's almost like a huge relief, this whole project, I think. Yeah. Finally getting to put all that stuff in there that we really wanted to do from the beginning.
Yeah, and hey, I'm so glad that it's finally going to be here for us to all get our grubby little hands on.
More options, especially subclasses.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a question here from someone over on our YouTube asking, What inspired you while working on this project? Has there been any film or music especially influenced in the design of PG2? And I would even expand that to other like books, comics, things of that. Like what fantasies are you pulling on for some of these options?
Yeah, so I think the biggest inspiration here, because the brand new system, and this huge system we've developed for Player's Guide 2 is our base building rules. So we knew that we wanted to capitalize on this idea, right? That from level one, you could even have somewhere you could invest and build up and really make a facility full of facilities to facilitate your downtime activities, right? Because downtime activities, the way we revamped them and redesigned them in TOV is definitely one of the things I'm super proud of. And it's been really great having that part of the game be engaged with in all of the games I've been running and like really making that a fun now part of campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
So for the base building stuff, that was a big focus. So I've been doing a lot of playing building video games, your civilization style things, a lot of like spooky house building. Like I've been obsessed with blueprints and then just like
Same.
seeing all of that come right back, like all the hidden mysteries and stuff we've been developing for base building. I've also been reading House of Blue Leaves, so another very creepy novel about. So I've also been rereading The Shining. So I guess I'm in like a really
Weird
into the
horror
weird
house,
haunted like horror, but like
strange
the
architecture.
magic and mystery, yeah, of locations and that sort of thing, I guess, has been like on the front of my mind during all of this development and play testing for this book in particular.
Yeah, and that's so cool. And especially, like, I think one thing that comes across with that, right, is especially I can only really speak to blueprints because that's also been kind of what I've been
Obsessed. It was three
obsessed
weeks
over.
of just, I did nothing else.
Exactly, right? But like how like every single aspect of what I've seen from like the base building and like
Hmm.
the kind of the exploration of that is how, and this goes to someone's question here, how story focused it
Yes.
feels, right? How even the way that you get a base and the way that you slowly develop it and find some of those hidden mysteries over time, like it seems to align with Kobold Press's general thought on making these mechanics feel very story inspired and story and narrative heavy and
Yeah.
focused.
And that's been something with Tales of the Valiant in general. I feel like we really wanted to emphasize that feeling of rich story building, even from character creation, right? Like when you're sitting down and you're picking the heritage and the background and the lineage combinations, we've gotten the feedback a lot that Tales of the Valiant feels like right from the beginning, you're already developing this like gorgeous kind of narrative. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
we're carrying that through in all of the elements we can, including that base building system. Another big inspiration for the base building was I love Vossen. It's like a really great,
Oh,
other RPG game. And one of the most fun parts of that game is in between these kind of monster of the week style, like go out and deal with this Fae. You always come back to that same castle,
mm-hmm.
and they give you the castle, they give you the specs and the history, but like half of your games are about kind of developing and unfolding the weird mysteries, and then I'm like, whoa, what a cool like experience to
Mm-hmm.
have. If I could replicate that or get that same kind of thing at my tables, except it would be customizable completely to whatever campaign or setting you're in.
Yeah, yeah. We Another question here from GM Toolbox. Well, first they say thank you for bringing the witch to Player's Guide 2.
Yes, obviously I had to. I had to.
Absolutely, and the question is, what has changed from the witch that we've seen in fifth edition to now bringing it to Tales of the Valiant? What was it? So, like, yeah, what has changed?
Yeah, so obviously, because Tales of the Valiant classes have something going on at every single level, when you're looking back at 5e classes, a lot of what we did to update them was introduce new class mechanics or class features. So for both the Witch and the Thurge, they both have an entirely new, like, core class feature going on. So with the Witch, we took that concept of, like, the Hex mechanic that we sort of had like going on in the first version, and we've expanded that. really dramatically. So now every subclass, in addition to a bunch of the other stuff they get, they now have a new way to use that kind of hex or curse mechanic. So a lot more of that going on with different classes. Also, one of the original class features was allowing you to choose kind of these witch implements that you wanted to use to cast your spells. I think we introduced it with like 6 or so. Now we're up to 10, so a bunch of different choices that you can use and get access to a lot more that can kind of customize your play experience based on what you're doing there. And then, of course, now that we have taken the witch, they are a full weird source caster, which is very different than how they appeared in 5e. They were sort of like the combo, like druid, kind of with a little warlock spell list, but we've like gone full into the weird on this side. So the class is a lot more about interacting with spirits, summoning forces like from beyond. So it's a lot more of that flavor baked in kind of at every level of the class. And you're going to see things like, especially some of the higher level features where you can call on spirits to give, AoE bonuses or like deal damage here. And then most of the subclasses now have some unique way that they also can tap into these kind of like entities from beyond.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Someone's asked, will the subclasses in Deep Magic 2 be compatible with the new witch?
So we are discussing ways that we will probably revisit those classes and update maybe as a later or a standalone, like a PDF product. But right now they are compatible in the same way that any of our other 5e, subclasses are compatible with these new versions here. So most of it is going to still work. But we do absolutely want to revisit those classes and give them the full TOV glow up treatment very soon.
Yeah. So with that being said, does that mean that the subclasses we're seeing in here are completely different?
Completely new. Totally brand new. Playing with different concepts, different abilities. So absolutely brand new stuff, never before seen. And that was something we wanted to make sure to do with the Thurge and the Witch for anyone who wasn't convinced that these classes are going to be so much more awesome and expanded in TOV, because they are, and they really don't look the same on paper, but we do realize that some people are probably concerned about that.
Right, absolutely. What is this? We discussed this a lot in the Discord about witch casting being weird or allowing a bit of arcane or even primordial. Will there be features that let you dip into the other spell lists?
Absolutely. It's sort of in the same vein where some of the other base classes kind of let you tap into other things, like the Divine Sorcerer, right? Like if you have a Celestial Patron, right, you're going to get access, or for the Warlock too, you're going to get access to some of spells from the Divine spell list. So there are some of the witch subclasses that play more into those nature themes, and they're going to get access to some primordial options. We also have a witch that's more themed towards the arcane, so they're going to get access to some of those options. So very much in the same way we have sort of those, that customization available. You will be seeing that in the witch subclasses for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. Another question here. With the Book of Blades coming up for pre-order, are the new classes from the Player's Guide 2 going to have different subclasses than in Player's Guide 2 than they will have in Book of Blades?
Yeah, we're not repeating any of the same content across those books. Player's Guide 2 is all new, a ton of great new stuff. And Book of Blades is including a lot of the stuff that was published in its 5e and the separate kind of blog PDFs that has been updated for Tales of the Valiant and a bunch of other new stuff. So y'all are going to be swimming
swimming in stuff
across the board. Do not worry.
I can answer your question here, Jim, which is will it release for 5e on Roll20? And the current answer for that is it will not be releasing for 5. We are not releasing a 5th edition version of Player's Guide 2 on Roll20. Now, will Player's Guide 2 come out as TOV on Roll20? As of right now, we still don't have plans for that. That is up to Roll20.
Up to Roll20.
So,
yep.
Next question here. Have you thought about doing small class books for PDFs for each class that gives you wait, hold on, let me read through the rest of this. For each class that gives you new subclasses and boons just for that class, or do you think we will see more players guides, like big books like this, in the future?
I don't know. From here, it depends like what the next step kind of is, but we certainly do have a history. One of the things we like to do is make those smaller, kind of more focused PDF products or blog products to kind of play test and put those options in front of people. So it's totally possible we might be doing more of those. I think especially since we have these three new classes, we're definitely going to want to put some stuff out there as quick as we can to give support to the Vanguard, in the Witch and the Thurge. So that's absolutely a possibility. Just as it's as much of a possibility that we're probably going to see, these big kind of books of player options. Though I think it's safe to assume after Player's Guide 2, it'll probably be at least a year before we do another giant Player's Guide books. But don't worry, I'm sure there will be player options coming, just maybe as smaller parts of upcoming releases.
Mm-hmm. We've got a cool question here from Eric. With all the subclasses that are coming out from the Dungeons and Ruins and everything else, how do you all keep the game balanced? Is there a spreadsheet, or what is the work behind making sure everything works together?
So right now, this is funny because Megan and I are literally in the process of, now that most of Player's Guide 2 has moved into kind of final, it's final development and final editing. So it's all on paper. We do have a giant master spreadsheet of everything that has been published in Tales of the Valiant. Oh my God, it's getting so big, you guys. We have published so much stuff for this game over even just the past year. It's incredible. But yeah, we do keep these extensive note systems, especially right now, to track themes and make sure we're not overlapping with things come out. Because right now, the game is still new, so we're wanting to make sure we cover all those niches of fantasy as fast as possible in as most satisfying way. So right now isn't the time to be like, oh, well, this is kind of a variation of this one thing. We're like, no, we want to make sure, we've got our shadow and our fire and our, bone lord, and we're making sure we want to cover all of the bases. So yes, there's a lot of spreadsheeting. Megan, our senior game developer, and I love a good spreadsheet. We're building them all the time. All the time, constantly.
Gotta love a good spreadsheet. Gotta love a good spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We got another question here. Which subclass do you think is going to catch us by surprise for bringing something innovative to the class?
Oh man, I mean, there are a few. I think people are going to really like the Vanguard. In terms of, to me, it feels like it's bringing the most innovation in the way that it breaks open some of the mechanics and allows you to customize that sort of experience. There are a couple cool rogues as well coming into here that I think people are going to really enjoy. We wanted to give archery a big glow up in this book, so there are a lot of really neat coming on. The fighter and the ranger and the rogue all have some really cool ranged weaponry features going on. But yeah, I think the Vanguard is going to do it. I think for people really looking for that experience, like you've been playing for a long time and maybe you feel like you've played all the classes, right, and kind of know how they all work, I think the Vanguard is going to be that new, really exciting challenge for those players specifically coming to the table who are willing to, love all the little mechanics of this game and want to play around with them, break them open, and just really set the stage, like a little chess master on the board. I think that's going to be extremely exciting for you guys.
Yeah, it sounds so good. What question was? Are there plans on revisiting classes from Tome of Heroes or monsters from Creature Codex into as far as anything that we're seeing in Player's Guide to, or I guess even some of the future stuff?
So we are avoiding like doing direct like one for ones in most case with a lot of that 5e material because we don't want people to feel like they're just like getting the same stuff, kind of updated.
Hmm.
But in some instances we are covering conceptual ground. That was like in Tome of Heroes, for example, like if we knew a subclass was really, really popular, we're going to go back in and like try to build a subclass that kind of matches those themes at least, but give it all new mechanics and new like glow up in the way that Tales of the Valiant subclasses are just like an uncontestable upgrade from
Right.
5e versions of things.
Yeah.
But we really are trying to retread, or not trying to retread, and trying to make these things feel exciting and new. And there are currently no plans to go back into like Creature Codex or the other Tome of Beast books and just give those a full revamp because boy, we have so many monsters.
It would take so long.
So many monsters in front of you. And what's great is, Tales of the Valiant, we designed our monsters to be the math that we always knew and figured out, way before 2024 came out or people were talking about like, revamping monsters. Our monsters have always hit hard and always been really interesting. We're really famous for that. So we stand by what we did, even in our earlier, monster books,
Hmm.
and are completely confident they can play and challenge Tales of the Valiant parties, even with the 5e versions.
Amazing. Here's a question. Are we getting an intelligence based monk or scholar? I guess, or like, is there is the
Smart fists. No. There are some talents, I will say, in this that kind of allow you to play with what ability scores influence what. And we are definitely designing things. I feel like me, and I think a lot of the internet feels like monks don't. They already do so much. There's already so much jammed into those classes that oftentimes they don't really get the talents or equipment that feels
Mhm.
like it supports them specifically. So we are making sure in this book to include a lot of juicy things to allow people to customize their experience specifically with playing monks, because monks aren't one of the more popular classes, but the people who play monks are really passionate about monks. If that there's one thing we've learned from our feedback in Tales of the Valiant, it's that y'all who play your monks are really into your monks. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Uh, that's so true. Um, gosh, can you tell us exactly what exactly an Archon patron is for the Warlock? Is this a celestial or a more specific thematic kind
So,
of?
yes. So it is, it could be a celestial, but it's specifically a being, an extraplanar being that is associated with the law. So not necessarily good, but
Mm,
law and order. So like the perfect example of this might be like the Mechadron like prime, right? Like this kind of idea of like these creatures that are like robotic in nature and all that order and structure. So that is like the perfect example, right, of this like this divine plan that they're all like working towards. So that kind of thing. So there are a lot of celestials that sort of fall into that category, but like any other warlock patron, right, that's open to sort of interpretation, just like the undying like warlock patron or whatever, the reaper, like it
mm-hmm.
could be an undead, but it's not necessarily an undead creature. It's any creature that is associated with death or victory, conquering. That could be, a divine being or not. So that's sort of the archon. So law, clockwork stuff. The machine, the machine of the universe.
Of course. Sorry.
Sphinxes is a good one, Ryan. You said in there, Sphinxes could be that patron. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. My elderly cat woke up, and so she will be yelling occasionally. I'll try to mute when I can. Uh, uh, she
But
always loves
Sphinxes is a good. I don't know if that was a
Sphinxes.
joke, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
totally,
Sphinxes
they
is a
could be
good
an
one.
archon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, how did you decide the balance of player to GM content for Player's Guide 2?
Yeah. Well, we definitely knew we wanted this to be almost primarily, for PCs. at the table, but we are taking, ever since the player's guide, we're taking a more holistic approach and trying to, we address the game master as another player at the table, and we do that very intentionally. So that's why you see things are player advice, right? It's not just for GMs or for players. It's everybody should kind of think together and like be rewarded together and respected together in that same kind of way. So we're intentionally sort of blurring the lines between what is player content and what is GM content here, because things like base building, for instance, like, well, the GM obviously needs to go, okay, yes, I want to deal with this in my game. We're putting it in the player's guide to book because we want it to be a conversation for everybody at the table. We want everybody to feel invested in this process and what they're making together. So I guess that's sort of an answer.
Yeah, no, yeah, no,
a
I think
partial
so.
answer about the divide there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is exciting, Violetta. Going back up to a previous question, what were some of the inspirations for the Vanguard? How, like, what's the story behind how it came to be as a new class?
Yeah, we just had a really cool blog post actually go up about this, talking with Mark Rattle, who was the the lead designer, put forward the initial design for this class. And I mean, none of us are pretending that this isn't like the successor to the 4E Warlord class, which was, I think, one of the coolest things that they came out with in 4E. It was like, oh, this martial kind of support class. How cool. And then for some reason, it never got brought forward into 5E, but we're like, but this is awesome. Like, let's do it. And so many people missed that class. So we're like, hell yeah, let's go for it. And Mark had actually been making one forever. He had it kicking around since when he was designing for Pathfinder. And he had never really like had a reason to bring it forward or finish it. And, we were shopping for like, hey, we're doing new player's guide. Is this the time? And Mark's like, yes. So Mark and I worked together to develop this class. And then through a series of really cool kismet and like fate, we came together and realized that, hey, that guy on the alpha like playtest rules cover, that image of the guy in the armor waving the flag, the black flag. And Mark was like, what if we like made that guy the Vanguard? What if that guy's a Vanguard? And I'm like, whoa, yeah. And he's waving a black flag. What if something there? And Mark's like, what if there's a class feature where they do that? I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I'll make a war banner like a class feature. And we fell into this really cool thing where now there's actually a core class mechanic that's called war banner, and one of the options you can pick is black flag. And we're like, like
That's so
one
good.
of those great moments where art and teamwork and design all just came together to make something super cool and relevant.
Yeah, that's I love that so much, especially as a lover of the Warlord myself. It is just it's such a cool class, and I'm really glad to see Tales of the Valiant bringing it back in such a cool way.
Have been looking aggressively for any excuse to make another D12 hit dice class, and I was like, finally, it's the one. Those little bugaboos that sometimes lead to bigger decisions.
Amazing. Another question here. What was the deciding factor on making the Sapopova not a beastkin but its own lineage?
Yeah, so the intention with the Beastkin was always very much to start with something that could cover all the bases, and then later we could go specific as we needed to be with things. So that was kind of always the plan. Like, I don't think any of you should be surprised that we are going to do things like bear folk specific for a lineage or cat folk. Like, these are things that Kobold Press has used and done forever. But what's nice about the Beastkin is it immediately allowed anyone to go into whatever fantasy they wanted, and they could provide those options and cover the bases. And then what's great also is like going back in and doing things specifically like we're going to do frog people now, is it allows us to make more interesting and very specific versions of things that don't feel the same as Beastkin. Because I'm not sure if you've noticed this, guys, but in 5e, when you're like, oh, let me look at this, this bear person and this cat person, technically they look different, but on paper they almost all had the same features and were pretty like vanilla across the board. So we just, instead of like pretending that wasn't the case, we just made the beast kin, which covered what basically all of those lineages did already in 5e. But now with things like the Sapavova, we can give them like, they have superior vision, like in a specific way, and they already have these aquatic things, and we can give them funny stuff like the toad can put a bunch of stuff in their mouth and like spit it out at people as like improvised weapons, which I think is just hilarious. So it gives us more room to customize and build like totally unique mechanics while also preserving an option that can speak to the general and can fit whatever creature you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also lets you get really weird with the kind of creatures, because you don't have to just stick with whatever.
You could be a flamingo person, right? Because you know we're never going to make a specific flamingo person lineage. Well, I won't say never. We have puffin folk, so
come on, hold on.
Hold on. But you know, so we needed something general to cover whatever you know situation, those specifics you want to get into in your imagination, and now we have the freedom to play and get into those really specific things, so people have options.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's a question here. Are there any plans for something like a wolf folk or like a fox folk or anything similar to that? Or
maybe, right? And like we have the freedom to do that. I mean, you guys know Northlands is coming up, so you probably have some guesses. We're gonna see some bear folk in that. Shocker, I know. There's a bear kingdom, like come on. So we're gonna have that, and then we also have some cool, maybe lycanthrope style stuff coming up in there. I don't know. I don't know, but you know, keep your eyes out. You never know. If there's a Fey Lord for it, there's probably a good chance we'll get to it at some point, right? Our animal lords.
Yeah.
We get it.
That'd be good. That'd be really good. Don't forget, everybody, if you have any more questions, please put them in the chat. I have a question, because we've talked about the witch. What can we expect for the Theurge? What's new about this version of the Theurge?
Yeah, so just like the witch, we had a lot more levels to fill in, and actually for the Theurge we had quite a few more levels to fill in, because in 5e in particular, casters had very empty looking class features. Like, you know, the wizard would be like nothing for levels. So with the Theurge, we wanted to really build out the concept of like their Librum. So they have like a really cool kind of soul-bound, it's almost like a spell book, but a little bit different to them. It's almost more like a grimoire style book. So we wanted to build that out a lot and give you a lot more ways to play with and like summon and do special things with this like kind of soul-bound book. And we're getting a lot more into like with the subclasses. There's some cool stuff coming. Like I think my favorite that we have is the Illuminator, which is based on the idea of like illuminators from monasteries, right? They would make these beautiful gilded books. So playing into what it means to bridge that arcane and that divine source. So this one is kind of like angelic seals and like the, you know, the word, like holy words, right? And so really getting into like, the minutia of like what that kind of study is and feels like. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff coming there. I think people are going to really enjoy the class features. Almost like the Vanguard feels like kind of the advanced way for people to like control the battlefield, right, and do support in that sense. I think the Theurge feels like the next level of breaking open the mechanics for casting, right, and really taking that apart and getting into the minutia of like, oh man, what can you accomplish with all of the things going on in this class?
Absolutely. Here's a question. Are there any subclasses that you are particularly excited or proud of?
Well, I just said the Illuminator.
That's okay. Well, I guess if it's just the Illuminator.
No, it's not just. It's here. I'm proud of so many. This is like a choose your child question.
Yes, choose your children.
I get these all the time. Okay. Okay, I'm looking at my list right now. Oh, there's so many good ones. I really like our death domain cleric subclass. I think we did some really neat stuff with it. I think people are really going to enjoy that. Yeah. I like all the elemental stuff we're doing in here. So like the elemental druid subclass, and I'm very proud of like the elemental voice, our monk. you know, our avatar monk. It went through a lot of rounds of playtesting. Thanks to you guys, it's like an even better version of what it could be. Our toy maker mechanist is super duper fun.
There was actually
oh my
someone
gosh.
just talking about the toy maker mechanist.
I love the fiction of like having a bunch of little guys, right, that
Hmm.
like can go out and scout for you and do things, and just like when I think of Mechanist, that's like one of my headcanon like thoughts
Right.
about it. So I'm obsessed with it. I'm so happy it's coming.
Yeah.
I like the Nightblade too for the rogue. It's like kind of summoning like force
Oh,
knives
oh,
and
that's so
like, you know,
cool.
so
That's
it's sort of like a Gambit style feeling, and you're throwing your psychic nonsense all over the place.
yeah,
um the Abominable Sorcerer is another really fun one, so aberration based, like some weird
yeah,
tentacle nonsense. We also have the Kraken Barbarian, so we've got some good standout tentacle nonsense in this in
yeah.
this book.
What's
um
different about the necromancer wizard?
mhm.
Because
Yeah, so yeah, because Necromancer Mandy always felt sort of
I have so many
mm, in 5e,
thoughts.
right? Yeah, I'm right there with you. And Necromancers are so cool. And we wanted to bake in for the Necromancer. I, like many people, was a huge fan of Gideon the Ninth, the Locked Tomb series. What
Hmm.
I loved about it was they really showed off the variety of like what necromancers could do. So
Hmm.
we wanted to bake in some of that. It's not just about summoning, you know, your dusty skeleton guys, right? Like there's flesh manipulation and working with blood and, you know, being able to sculpt any of that. Like, so we wanted to inject that kind of feeling
Hmm.
of possibility and options into that class. So it's almost like they have some sort of healing stuff. It's a lot of like life force manipulation that I feel like was kind of the component missing
Yeah,
from your classic 5e version. So we've got a lot more of that baked into this subclass.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, ooh, here's just a fun one. What character concept are you looking at playing, not running, the next
Oh
time
my
that
god.
you get a chance?
Vanguard.
Vanguard.
I'm so excited to play Vanguard. Though also witches too. So one of the witch subclasses that I'm really proud of, the Twilight Soul. So basically, we got to make a bunch of new. We've talked about the new Valiant Six, right? Yeah, I'm
We
sure.
we haven't. We all
We
haven't.
haven't. Oh
I
my god.
don't know how. Hey, you know now. Hey, everybody. There's a new Valiant Six.
Hey, yeah, we did another set for this book. Of course, I swear in an email or something we talked about Avina
We've
Elodie, who
talked.
is like
We've
sort.
only released 3 of them
Oh,
so far.
okay, okay. So Avina Elodie, who is a witch of the Twilight Soul subclass, was basically like the character I wanted to play, and then I made her because I was like, "Here's the new set." So this Twilight Soul concept, which is now that the witches have more of an association with the weird, right, and spirits, this subclass is all about having sort of one foot in that spirit world and one foot in the normal world,
Mhm.
and being kind of that bridge, almost like a medium, right, between
Mhm.
worlds. So that is, I mean, her whole backstory and everything. I'm like, this is the character I would have made, and I'm absolutely selfishly just shoving this in here.
As you should.
With her cool like silver mist raven, you know, companion and stuff. I'm like all about it, all about that gothic nonsense.
Mhm. Mhm. It's I love the new Valiant Six so much.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
so
Well,
cool.
yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. Are they gonna become like the League of the Valiant, right? Now that we've got 12 or whatever, but we needed
The
to,
League
right?
of the Valiant's pretty
League of
good.
the
It can't
Valiant.
just be the Valiant League.
Yeah, yeah,
But I do love this idea of this
yeah,
large group of adventurers with a
yeah.
rotating cast.
Right. You know, in every episode, it's, you know, features a different sort of
It's
our
like
own.
who's available right now?
Right. Yeah. Who's not busy? Who's not off on vacation
Hey,
time?
hey, can any of you just hey? There's a thing happening just like a couple of
Yeah.
miles away. Who's nearby?
Yeah. So, because obviously we needed, you know, looking forward to stuff like actual play and new pre-gens. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
while we love the first Valiant Six, we got to have, you know, our iconic third and our iconic witch, and
Mm-hmm.
so, you know. But yeah, that would be the character I'd play. I just made her and put her right in there. So completely my selfish privilege as
that's
senior
what you.
game
That's
designer,
yeah.
right?
That's you have the power to do it. You could just put your OC wherever you want. That's okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh my god. Yeah, so here's a question. So will the new Valiant 6 be all different classes from the OGs so that we have pre-mades for all or most of them?
Yes, they're all different base classes. So now we'll have so the Valiant 6 for now we have 15 or 16 classes, so it'll be 12 of like the 15. Yeah. So then we did that very intentionally so we could give people, lots of choices and flavors for all the different stuff. So y'all can guess. I guess I've already spoiled. 3 of them are definitely the 3 new classes, but what are the other 3? Who knows?
That's so funny. God. Sorry,
I spoiled that. Wolfgang's gonna be like, slash.
No, it'll be fine. The people should know. The people need to know about the cool.
The truth is out there.
Oh my gosh. So that's pre-generated for that. Are there any other questions that I have missed so far? I don't believe so. Hold on, I'm just scrolling back up.
I like this, the Kobold verse. It's good.
The Kobold verse, right?
Yep, the Valiant verse.
I can't wait years in the future. Whenever that first Valiant 6 novel comes out, I'm buying it. I just want to read.
The Valiant Dozen.
The Valiant Dozen. Valiant Dozen's not bad.
That's a pretty good one.
That's pretty good.
We'll just have to keep renaming them every time we do a new set.
I can answer this one really quick. The starter set is already available. You can go get it over on the Steamforged website. Let me just grab that for you really quick.
Mine is in the mail and hasn't arrived yet, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, I've got mine right on my shelf. It's so
you
good.
got it. All right.
Because I did it big.
Slow.
I had to do the unboxing. So
you had to do the unboxing.
I have like a printer proof version. Well, it's not cool. It's not printer proof. It is basically the thing. But who knows if there were changes. Here's that link for you in there. All right, everybody. We only have a couple of more minutes left here, so please, if you have any questions, head on. Oh, here's one. What is the Aberrant Siderian? I guess this gets into some of the new expanded options that we have.
Yeah. So for the expanded lineage options, so the Aberrant Siderian, rather than having some kind of connection to a celestial or fiendish entity, you are connected to an aberration that had something to do with either your, birth or the circumstances of your birth. So obviously, looking at some of the weirder kind of creatures there, but you might have almost like psychic-y supernatural powers or some kind of mind foolery, as opposed to, like, oh my god, I'm a glowing person with wings, or, brimstone. So that's what that's about.
Amazing. There was actually a question I missed. They noticed that there was something titled Epic Advancement in the preview. What can we talk about regarding that?
So this is talking about what the heck do you do when you get to level 20 and you want to keep playing. So this is going to be things like special rewards for level 20 characters. So talking about things like going beyond just getting your main pick of Epic Boon, there are going to be some more options, some flexible options based on what kind of classes you're playing, some special talents that unlock specifically when you get to the point where you cannot advance in levels anymore, but you still want to give your guys something cool.
That's pretty cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And then this will be our final question. Celeste, how does it feel that you guys have already blazed through the first tranche of stretch goals for Player's Guide 2?
Awesome. It's really awesome. I mean, we all know times are weird, and so the fact that people are coming out and supporting this It means the world to us. It really is. This is a tricky time to be making games right now. So seeing you all out there sending money and giving your support really does mean the world to us. And please, please don't stop. Even if you've already bought something, let somebody know. Like, drive your friends here. Like, this is the time.
Mm-hmm.
We need this funding. I'm gonna be very honest with you. So just thank you so much to those of you who are coming in here and showing your support. It means the world to us. We love that you're out there playing Tales of the Valiant and keeping this really awesome thing going. We're so proud of it and so proud of all of you. And just thank you. It feels really great.
Yeah, yeah. You all are the lifeblood of not just us, but just like every TTRPG space, right? This
Yeah.
Times are tough for everybody right now, and it means the world to all of us that you all are playing the games, shouting from the rooftops how much you love it, and genuinely that does make a huge difference.
A huge difference. A huge difference.
We literally could not be here without each and every single one of you, so thank you all. And thank you, Celeste, for being here and answering some questions. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sure you have plenty more, but hey.
I'll be in the Discord.
Exactly.
Doing my late night question barrage. You know me.
Exactly. And we gotta let Celeste get back on to making those games you love so much. So
yeah.
Thank you all so much for being here. If you haven't already gone to back Player's Guide 2, what are you doing? Please go do it. Tell your friends.
Let's do it. Let's have some more stretch goals.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
got even more planned. We just haven't shown them yet.
Exactly. There's one stretch goal that I'm particularly very excited about. But hey, we have to get there first. Hope to see you all next week, same time. Actually, at our normal time. This one was a little bit delayed because busy. But we will see you next week with I think next week, yes, I will be here with one of our Kobold Creates winners, Cujo, looking through the Player's Guide to preview and just getting that first look, that first reaction of all of that really, really good preview stuff. So we will see you all then. Until then, don't forget to go out, be bold, be brave, be valiant. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.